But just staying with AI, there's an interesting court case in the US at the moment where the state of Texas is suing the insurance company Allstate because it turns out Allstate Insurance Company paid millions of dollars for app developers to incorporate software in their apps that would track drivers when they're out and about on the road. Now, they've been tracking 45 million people as they drive their cars, monitoring things like how quickly they speed up, how hard they hit their brakes, and they've established the world's largest driver behaviour database. This, of course, is important because they've been able to use it in their insurance policies, determining whether people are high risk or not based on their driving history, but just based on driving habits. Now, just because you brake suddenly doesn't mean you're a bad driver. It might mean that you didn't run over the old lady who stepped out in front of you.
No, James, you should have run over the old lady so you got a better insurance premium. You ought to know that.
Exactly. And so this, of course, came to light some time ago when owners of vehicles made by GM, General Motors, noticed their insurance premiums went up massively in the course of a year, and there'd been no crashes, no accidents. And when they found out why the insurance premiums had gone suddenly up, they discovered that apps incorporated into electric vehicles by manufacturers were doing the exact same thing. The problem here is that it's being done without driver permission, consent, or even knowledge. And so effectively you're being spied on in your car as you drive. The state of Texas have said this is not on. They're suing Allstate. We'll see what happens. But are we really worried about this when, if you drive an electric car, effectively you've got the Chinese Communist Party tracking you? Well, so you're that worried about your insurers? That's probably the least of your concerns.
People are so ignorant as to what is really going on with these kinds of cars and these kinds of contraptions in their cars. There's even been cases where people have successfully sued because they've been inappropriately attired because they think, well, I'm in my car, no one's going to see me. And then it turns out someone at Tesla has footage of them being inappropriately attired. I'm saying that as politely as I can. But these guys are responsible for collecting trillions of miles worth of location data from 45 million Americans, unbeknownst to them. And then, of course, these insurance companies just sit on that data until one of their clients asks for a quote or needs to renew, and all of a sudden the price has gone up accordingly. So I love that they've been busted, but it doesn't seem to matter what happens. People simply trade their privacy for convenience every single time.
But this, I'm going to start using this as an example because every time, you know, my girlfriend gets the irrits with me because I'm like, no, don't allow that thing to track you and don't allow that to turn that thing off and don't use that particular bit of software and whatever. And she's like, oh, but, you know, the convenience. No. This is what happens, right? It starts out as it's the convenience of this thing knows what I want to do before I even know I want to do it. Oh, that feels all terribly convenient until you go to look at your new insurance premium and they're charging you another $1,000 because they've made a judgment about you. It all started out lovely. It all started out convenience. They've now turned the tables on you. If the product is free, and sometimes even if you've paid for the product, i.e. an electric vehicle, you paid tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for the thing. Generally, if the product is free, you are the product. Yeah. Increasingly, you are the product in everything. This data is so valuable to companies across the world. They want every bit of data you will give them. Please do not give it to them.
Just before you move on, because I think you're about to move on, but I got to give some praise to Bruce Willis. Do you remember his movie, The Fifth Element? And in that movie, his character's driving a taxi, and the taxi is programmed so that when he exceeds the speed limit, the taxi issues him, the cab driver, with a fine. Oh, yeah. And then takes his licence off him, and then the car just stops and he can't drive anymore. That's about where we're headed, I reckon.
Absolutely.
Fifth Element, back in the 1980s, I think, that movie, predicted all of this.
Oh, God, if that happens, I'm in big, big trouble. Because I can say I'm the only one on this desk who hasn't had a speeding fine, and it's not because I don't speed. I just don't speed in places where I get caught.